Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another knife review for you. Today we have the Drop plus Kirby Lambert Raine. This is a collaboration between Kirby Lambert and Drop, formerly known as Mass Drop. I reviewed a lot of their knives here. It is not going to be available at your door until January, but currently, why I'm doing this now, on July 22nd is the date I plan on putting this out. Right now, you can pre-order for $249. Once they are in stock in January, it's going to be $299. So you can save $50 if you want to get one. You can go do it. So let's get the review going here and get stuff going. As I said, it's made by Reate. It has a lot of the cues, I guess you'd say, from current Reate-built knives. I have a couple other ones here, and I'll bring those out in just a second. But it reminds me a lot of some of theirs. You can definitely tell it's a Reate, but you can also tell it's a Kirby Lambert design as well, that's what you want, is a combination between the two. And, $249 for anything made by Reate, not bad. Not bad at all. That's a pretty good deal for something like that. It does come in several different colors. This is the, what do they call it? Let me scroll up here and make sure I have it correct. This is the blue or Arctic Storm version. I really do like this carbon finish with some blue resin in there. It looks amazing. It's very, very pretty. I do really like that. It also comes in a green jungle wear, which is basically the same a carbon with green instead of the blue in it, and a normal kind of stone washed titanium. A purple version, that's just this with purple and kind of a purple finish on there, or a red which comes with blacked out, and also it's got a blacked out blade as well. So go to their website, I'll link to it down below. You can check out which version you want, all that kind of stuff. As I said, it is obviously a Reate, which is that's not at all a slight. But here we have the Pena X Series Mini Diesel. You can see a lot of similar stuff in the hardware and things like that, you know. Pretty obvious that's what it is. A lot of the finishing things are the same. But, you know, I do have to say there are some really nice touches on this. I love this floating back spacer. I think that looks so cool. They did a really great job on that. I think it looks really great. The pocket clip is nice as well. It's your usual typical Reate quality. I have zero issues with the quality on this at all. It's a very well-made knife. You can't feel these transitions hardly at all. You can't feel them at all. On this particular example on the lock side, you can barely feel it on the show side, but just a beautifully well-made knife for sure. Now, as far as looks-wise, it's going to be a love it or hate it kind of thing, I think. Although I'm kind of neutral, I kind of like it. It's not my favorite thing in the world. Fair amount of recurve on the blade. We'll talk about that more when we get to that section. But it depends on what you think about it. RWL 34 steel, that is what Reate uses on a fair amount of stuff. Yeah, I think for the price, it's completely fine as far as quality and materials go, absolutely. But let's do some stats before we go too much farther, before we start rambling about stuff. We have, line this up, these are 1-inch squares here. We have a blade length of 3.5 inches, overall length of 8.2 inches. You have a blade thickness of 0.16 inches, handle thickness of 0.6 inches, and a weight not terribly light at 5.8 ounces. So it is a bit hefty. It's not portly or anything like that, but it is definitely not a lightweight. Do some size comparisons here. You have your Spyderco Paramilitary 2, pretty similar in overall length and stuff to that. Your Spyderco Para 3, you can see it's quite a bit larger than that. A couple of our standards here. And we'll bust out, as I said, we'll pull the Pena back down in here. A couple more Reate made knives. You can see it's bigger than the Mini Diesel. It has mini in the name, you kind of expect it to be. And more similar in size to, this is the Chavez Ultramar 229, just a little bit smaller than that. So let's talk more about this knife specifically instead of just size comparisons and stuff like that. And by the way, this is $249. Two other Reate made knives. This is $299, and the Chavez is when it actually fully hits market, it's going to be $350 and up. So yeah, not really bad price wise, I do have to say, especially if you get it on this pre-order. As far as the actual review of this particular knife goes, the blade Yeah, Artie Bill 34 steel, I'm fine with that. At this price, it's fine. And Reate uses this a lot. They really know what they're doing with it. Not too terribly thick behind the edge, 23, 24 thousandths. It's not thin behind the edge. That's something that I was kind of hoping to see, because it's like the Pena and the Chavez I showed earlier. Reate's been getting really thin behind the edge lately. I think those are like 14, 15, 16 thousandths, something like that behind the edge. They're very thin behind the edge. This is not 23, 24. It's fine. But combined with that really thick blade stock of 0.16 inches, it is not the most amazing slicer in the world. It's not horrible, but it's not mind-blowingly good, that's for sure. Definitely, it'll hack cardboard, all that stuff you're probably going to actually wind up using it for. It'll be completely fine. But just not as thin as some of the other stuff that Reate makes for other people. It's more the thickness that Reate uses on their own knives. A lot of the Reate named stuff is even thicker behind the edge, so I guess maybe it's partway between. You do have a very good tip on it for sure. It's definitely a very robust knife as far as doing stuff like that. You know, if you're gonna do stupid things, it's built for that. No issues with that there. And it does have a significant recurve. Some people don't mind recurves at all. Some people really, really hate them. I don't know where I land in that scale. I would prefer not to have a recurve, but I don't really get super upset about it when it does have it. I do like the finish on it a whole lot. It's this stonewashy finish. I think it looks pretty good. Yeah, and I like the maker's mark. That always looks cool. The Lambert maker's mark looks great. Other side, nothing at all. And then the only other thing you have is that little drop logo. Ergonomically, it's very, very good. It's very, very good. It's very comfortable in the hand for sure. Absolutely. You feel completely locked in. They do have jimping up here. There's no texture on the handle or anything like that, but you don't need it. You're totally locked in. The jimping on this is just outstanding, and Reate always does a really good job with that. It's just I feel very locked in, and there's no forward finger choil, but I don't know. This design, I don't really feel like it needs it. I'm normally kind of a forward finger choil kind of guy, but I don't know. This one, it just doesn't really feel like it needs it. There's no hot spot from the clip, no hot spot from this floating backspace or anything. It's just super comfortable in the hand. It is very, very comfortable in the hand. Very, very impressed with that. As soon as I took it out of the box, I was like, ooh, this is nice. This is nice. It just feels like a good thing you could use for a long amount of time. I don't know how many people would on a knife that's so fancy looking like this, but even though it looks fancy, it definitely has the ergonomics to work all day, for absolutely sure. As far as the carry goes, you know, it's kind of typical. I don't have, still have not replaced the old Wrangler, so I do apologize about that. There's a fair amount sticking out. We're going to be about there. But it's not too crazy looking. None of the color schemes are going to make it look too crazy looking. What's sticking out of your pocket? It'd be obvious that it's a knife, but it's not horribly obtrusive. Tension is good. Slides in out of the pocket well. It's resting on this very smooth carbon fiber, so it slides in and out very well. All that stuff. It's not horribly wide in the pocket. I did notice that this is a fairly flat kind of, flipper tab. It's not an uncomfortable pocket pecker, but you are going to notice it. It is going to hit stuff if you have things in there. But again, it's all right. It carries about what you would expect a 6-ounce titanium frame lock to carry like. Is basically the summary of that. It's fine, but it's not amazing. As far as the deployment goes, it's pretty good. I would have said it was great because it is good. Not quite drop shot. You got to shake it a little bit, but again, I did not take this apart or anything because it's a loaner from Mass Drop, so I didn't want to mess it up. You do have to jiggle it a little bit, but it's fairly drop shutty. I'm sure if I tore it apart and lubed it up properly, it would just drop shut like a guillotine. You can push button it, light switch it, all that. I probably would have raved about the deployment on this, except for that, again, not to bring it out again, the Pena, also made by Reate, is just, it's just better. So after seeing this and the Chavez and stuff, it's just, this doesn't have quite that snap bang that the Pena or the Chavez has. Now, part of that is the carbon fiber mutes the sound a little bit, but this is also almost exactly the same, partly carbon fiber. The detent and stuff just isn't quite that big snap bang that I've seen from some other previous Reate built knives. So I would not have been remotely disappointed if I hadn't handled the other ones. And after this, I'm kind of like, meh, I don't know. It's good. It's good, but this is definitely a situation of being spoiled for choice. I mean, it's outstanding. It's just not quite the same as the other two I have made by the same company. It doesn't blow me away in that same kind of way. But yeah, overall, $249 for that Reate quality. I think that's a completely reasonable price. Jump on one if you want one. I think it's a gorgeous looking thing. I love the look of this carbon. Yeah, if you hate recurves, you hate recurves. Some people just hate them. If you hate recurves, you probably didn't even click on this because you saw the thumbnail. Because it is a pretty obvious recurve. But I do like Kirby Lambert stuff usually, and I do like this design. Ergonomically, it's fantastic. It's extremely well made. No problems with the material or the quality at all. And $249, it's hard to call anything $249 a bargain, and I'm not even going to try to. But not bad for what it is. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I'm going to put a link to Drop down below. You can go check that out. I've been Brian. Have a good one.